Chapter HaVav, Shaar HaEmunah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 lines from the top, page Mem Vav, which corresponds to page 91. Amnam ha-bahataya, but one is dependent upon the other. What's that? Mamish. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Amnam ha-bahataya, one is dependent upon the other. Defi atzmai. Has the chuchas choimer hanefesh ativius v'chinas mechazim mebasri esla elaka kniska. That through the refining of the physicality of the rational soul, the natural soul, into the level that you come to, you can experience and behold flesh Hashem from your flesh. So, in order, what does it mean one is dependent upon the other? In order to behold Hashem with your flesh, you have to refine your human logic, you have to refine your heart. That when those things happen, you'll be able to behold Hashem with your flesh and physical eye and say this is Hashem. And same thing too, in order to refine your human logic and your heart, you have to also behold Hashem with your flesh. So those two things are dependent one upon the other. Shehu ayin shalamata. This is the eye that's below. Yeh erech b'ya ayin hachachma. Shibama the nefesh ha'elokis. That how do you behold Hashem? That this is like the. How can we do that? This is the eye that's below, and this is compared to the seeing that occurs with the intellectual part of the godly soul. The intellectual part of the godly soul refers to divine chachma, to divine wisdom. So when we take and at that level where our godly soul is interacting with Hashem and we're perceiving Hashem with our godly comprehension or divine intellect, at that point we are beholding the essence of Hashem, because our godly soul is truly a part of God above, and at that level we can perceive Hashem's essence in its full sense, but it's only with an intellectual eye that refers to divine intellect as it's within our godly soul and our godly comprehension. And this is Bria Mahus V'Atzmus Ein Soif. This is the seeing of the essence of our Creator, the Ein Soif, without end of the Creator. So whenever it says Ein Soif, that refers to without end. Ein Soif refers to Hashem Himself. Loimer Elokeinu Zeh L'Nekoach, and able to say, oh, this is Hashem directly. Our divine intellect and our divine comprehension is able to say, oh, look, ladies and gentlemen, this is Hashem. I don't believe it. Sorry for the picking of the nose. I didn't do that. That was an illusion. Dakai b'neshama lefi shahariya de'ayin b'gashmius the nefesh ativius. That this aspect of divine intellect, which is perceiving Hashem due to its being part of the godly soul, this refers, which is of course intellectual seeing, that this refers and relates to the actual vision, a physical vision, the ayin hagashmius, physical vision of the nefesh ativius, the natural rational soul, b'shorsho, in its root. Yorser elyon miriya the ayin haseichel b'neshama kniska el. However, this seeing with the physical eye that will happen in la'asi lavoi, within our natural soul, that when we point to Hashem and able to say with our physical eye, this is Hashem, that's within its root higher, it's rooted in a higher place than the intellectual divine intellect that happens within our godly soul, that's actually able to see the atzmus of Hashem, of the Ein Soif. So our physical seeing is actually higher than that. Physical seeing is rooted in a place higher than divine intellect. So that's going to be pretty exciting, that when we're perceiving Hashem, we're perceiving Him in His full essence, and we're seeing it with a physical eye. And La'asi Lavo, in the time to come when Mashiach comes, and that's why everybody's going to be dancing in the streets, because the knowledge of God is going to cover the earth like the waters cover the sea. And everybody's going to be jumping, everybody's going to be celebrating, and it's going to be like Lahavdil, your favorite team winning the Super Bowl and coming back from 42 points in the last 3 minutes, like some high school team almost did about 15 years ago. and then just cheering absolute craziness. But this is more, because that, as we all know, is essentially limited. Is a limited celebration to a few minutes, and it's also limited to what had just happened physically. And while it was kind of a miracle, and you're celebrating a miracle that just occurred, and that's what essentially people are celebrating. They're celebrating a miracle, and everybody tell you it's a miracle, and they will see maybe even divine intervention in that thing that just happened. That's why people go a bit nuts over it. But because it's essentially just having to do with the football team, it's not dealing with Torah and mitzvahs and the leaving of the Shaar from the world. It's not dealing with the leaving of death and disease and wars and all those things. That cheering will essentially be limited to that moment. It'll just kind of like stay there. While it's great, it won't. It's not going to carry with you and fully affect you in your physical lives. And therefore the celebration is essentially that kind of like nutty celebration that occurs right after that happens, after the team wins the Super Bowl or the game or whatever. That's why it occurs only within those few seconds. Once the people walk out of the stadium, they may talk with each other, say, wow, my gosh, wasn't that so great? But when Hashem reveals himself in its fullest way, and we're able to perceive him with our physical eyes, that's why our celebration is going to go on for hours and days on end. The dancing is going to be unbelievable, because it's an eternal thing. It's not rooted in a football game. It's rooted in true life, which is in God himself, and taking away from his shield and saying, hello, here I am. And so all the people are going nuts and celebrating and jumping and doing cartwheels and flips, and the music is going to be great, and it's going to be music, and we're going to be dancing with a mechitza. There's going to be a men's section, there's going to be a women's section, and we're going to be dancing with all our friends and everything's going to be really tznius, and it's going to be really nice, and there's not going to be any kind of weird stuff going on, but it's going to be real celebration. And that's what people really want. We even see it today when we sit at a table or at the cafeteria in a high school. Generally speaking, the guys sit with guys and the girls sit with girls. Generally speaking, that's the way it is. Sometimes, of course, you get mixed tables or whatever, but we see naturally people want to be with their own genders when they want to talk about things, whatever those things are. For the most part, that's what happens. And I can tell you, because I work in an inner city, and I work with inner city students, and generally even there, that's what happens. Guys hang out with guys, girls hang out with girls, and even naturally we understand that. Of course, then, when Hashem reveals himself in his full sense, of course we're going to want to dance with the mechitza. It's not going to be a problem.